The federal government and organized labor have agreed on modalities to reduce transport fares and prices of essential commodities, especially foodstuffs. Well, in its effort to reduce cost of transportation, the federal government is expected to hold a meeting with state government to implore them to embrace CNG buses. Well, according to Vanguard, the government has also promised to incorporate labor into the Economic Council. So labor will participate and monitor economic policies of government. Additionally, the House of Representatives asked the federal government to reverse the recent petrol price hike and stabilize petrol and cooking gas prices. Well, joining us this morning is Public Relations Officer of the Nigerian Labour Congress Lagos State Council, Ismail Adejumo. Thank you for being here, Mr. Adejumo.
Thank you for having me this morning. My pleasure to be here.
All right. Federal government, again, we did see what took place, especially recently, that's gotten everyone talking. The price of petrol has gone way beyond what Nigerians expected. And we also saw a statement made by the Labour stating that they would have preferred that the fuel price returned back to what it was before. That was 600, 700 and so on. My question to you is this morning, is that what we are going to settle for as Nigerians and as Labour? What are you planning to settle for, especially representing Nigerians, as it were?
Thank you very much. The situation at the moment is very, very critical. Critical in the sense that the government have taken the labor leadership and the entire workers for granted for too long. There is an agreement before now that once the minimum wage is fixed as 70,000 naira, ab initio, there won't be any further increase on the minimum wage or the price of petrol. The minimum wage will be predicated because the president had an agreement with the labor leadership that any attempts to increase the pump price above that threshold, then definitely it will inflict onto hardship and pain on Nigerians. So that was why the labor leadership settled for 70,000 ab initio as against the 250 that we initially proposed in the negotiation. But be that as it may, the situation now is that even the so-called minimum wage implementation at the federal level and subnational have not been fully implemented. People are suffering. The current inflation rate have already eroded the current minimum wage, because we negotiated that the next minimum wage will be reviewed in the next 3 years. But here we are now, we are still within a year of negotiation. Already the living wage has become a kind of starvation wage to Nigerian workers. People are suffering. Most workers cannot commute from their various homes to the place of work, even to feed. Most people, I must be honest with you, in the category in the public service are more or less on a patient on a life support. They need rescue, and government know that transportation is very critical in driving any economy. So we believe that they should do more of intervention urgent in the area of transportation. The so-called CNG buses or whatever CNG's initiative is just a kind of option. It does not mean that the vehicle that are using petrol will still not be functioning, even in advanced country where they have the option of the CNG. So in the area of food intervention, something urgent and drastic must be done. And I think the engagement at this time is very, very timely and very, very impactful, because if government is not engaging with the labor leader, it is only when we want to make a move to down tool or to strike that the government will now call leadership to table. This is not good. It's like throwing us around, and it's not good for our economy.
So have there been any agreements?
As a result of strike, amounts to a lot of billions of naira being lost.
Yeah, what I'm asking is, have there been any agreements at all between Labour and the federal government? You know, these conversations on CNG and reduction in transportation costs and food prices, is there any agreement as it stands? Is there any, is the federal government promising anything to Labour at this point?
Yeah, there are some promises. This has been there for before now. The issue of reviving the nation refinery is very critical, because we know the politics and the politicking going on in the oil sector. And we don't want to be involved in those dirty politics they are playing with the local refinery, Dangote refinery, the marketers, and all these people. So they want government want to introduce bringing back the refinery to stream so that it can be working pari passu with the local refinery, the local private refinery like that of Dangote, so that it can bring the landing cost and the cost of PMS in the country. Because since we agree on the issue of subsidy removal, we know there are still some gaps. Government still paying some subsidy to alleviate so that the price will not go too high, as against what government was planning, that if we are to give you 250 naira as minimum wage, we jack up the price of petrol to about 2,500 and 2,000 as the case may be. Now we have not even moved from 70,000. The price has gone up to as high as 1,000, 1,150, 1,100 naira, 1,050 naira as the case may be. Depends on where you are getting it from. So all this government need to do something urgent to cushion the effect, because look at the cost of energy. Power, I pray you will never be on a band A. Those who are on band A, they spend as high as 45,000, 50,000 to recharge for electricity. As a public servant, where do you get the money from? The so-called minimum wage cannot even get a bag of rice in the market.
Yeah, so that's what I'm asking. So when you
100,000 plus,
yeah, Mr. Adejumo,
these are the challenges that the workers are facing.
Yes,
and,
I totally understand how tough it is for workers. What I'm trying to understand is the conversations that you're having with the government now. They're promising you a refinery. We've been hearing about refineries for so long. Port Harcourt refinery in particular is the most recent. They keep making that promise. So it's not even a realistic promise that you should be told, if you're negotiating with the Nigerian government today, that you should believe. Because nobody knows whenever those refineries will get on stream. And so what are they proposing? 45 CNG buses means absolutely nothing for 200 million Nigerians that have to go to and fro work every day. That is not going to reduce the cost of petrol. So is there anything realistic that you've heard from these conversations that you're having with the government that you maybe will lean on?
From the ongoing conversation, we are made to realize that they are going to bring a measure by calling on the governors at the subnational level to intervene in the area of transportation and food security, so that the current hardship of people of Nigeria can be ameliorated. And the area of reversal to the old pump price is still ongoing, because the leadership have not come up with a communique. That's why I cannot say categorically what the position of the leadership of the two labor center will be on this matter. If by end of work, at the close of work today, or probably tomorrow, we should be able to have a clear position of the, because as at day before yesterday, the NEC met, the National Executive Committee of the Labour Congress, NLC, met in Abuja, and they are trying to look into all these issues vis-a-vis the sudden meeting that government called to forestall likely strike action or down-tooling.
What would be your key demands?
But it's a going concern. The conversation is ongoing, as government have already promised that from now on they are going to involve the labor leadership in the policy formulation and implementation, so that it will not be a matter of it's just being thrown to us and we don't have a clear understanding of how this works. And from there, we'll be able to have a way forward.
Great.
That is the
what are the likely key demands? As clear as possible. Not vague demands of, you need to reduce the cost of living. What are the likely key demands? And please hold on, Mr. Adejumo. Kindly hold on.
Hello.
Kindly hold on. What would be the key demands that you have? I want us to also keep in mind that the NLC president, Joe Ajaero, still has his case with the Nigerian police, with the treason charge that was thrown at him. So what is the strength of labor at this point, and what are the key demands that you would have to the Nigerian government?
Thank you very much. The current demand of working people of Nigeria is the government to sincerely implement the agreed 70,000 minimum wage across board and pay all the accumulated arrears from March this year. The wage award that are supposed to bridge the gap for subsidy removal have not been paid. The arrears is still there from March. They have not paid it. So we are calling on government to pay the wage award arrears, implement the so-called minimum wage fully across board, because what was implemented in September salary was 40,000 across board for all workers. We don't know the breakdown So the consequential adjustment of salary also need to be paid, because the government, if you remember vividly, on the 1st of May this year, when we are celebrating Worker Day, pronounced that there are going to be 25% at 5% consequential adjustment for salary earners on consolidated public salary structure, which is one of the worst scale in the category of salary scale. So we want government to implement that sincerely as soon as possible, pay all the arrears of the wage award, implement the minimum wage fully, and come up with other initiatives to support the workers, the civil public servants, both in the public and private sector, in the area of food security, transportation, and other form of relief, so that the working people of Nigeria can be more committed and dedicated to their work.
Mr. Adejumo,
those are the demands.
All right, Mr. Adejumo, that's fine. So, in other words, are you waiting for the government before you release your demands? That's one question I'm asking. Are you waiting for the government before you bring out your demands, listing it categorically, stating it clearly? That's one. Secondly,
our demands are very, very sacrosanct, are very clear. It has been there, and the leadership have already put it before the government several times. You understand? It's just for them to implement. Government have not been in this sincere honorary agreement. I'm sorry to use that word. So it is when they push us to the wall that we're about to invoke some of the instruments in the labor movement that they will now call the leadership overnight and be engaging. And in industrial relation, when your employer call you for negotiation, you have to answer at that time, so that all other issues can be put to the on the table and analyzed on merit, so that they will begin to implement them one after the other. But all at the demand of the working people of Nigeria are very clear. No one is ambiguous. We want them to reverse and reduce the current price of petrol, because if you look at even the World Bank have said it, that any further increase from this moment will cripple and jeopardize the gains of the purported, the so-called subsidy removal. Secondly, look at the inflation rates now. Almost 129 million Nigerians are trapped in poverty, as released even by the same World Bank. All this neoliberal policy of government needs to be critically analyzed.
That's fine.
Vis-a-vis the current reality in Nigeria, because Nigeria is not Britain, Nigeria is not Canada, and we are copying some of this model which cannot be fully domesticated, that to impact the lives of an average Nigerian. So we want the government to do an evaluation of all their policies since they came on board on 2023 at this moment, and do a kind of a retrospect. Which policy is affecting the people positively, which one is affecting the people negatively, and reverse.
That's fine.
So this is not a rocket science. It's not something we begin to clamor for at every time of engagement on the media. But government should now they are bringing the labor leader into their planning and implementation. Then they will be able to tell them and give them the feedback from the working people of Nigeria. So that there won't be this friction of strike today, strike tomorrow.
I would really appreciate if we can get the answers very quickly. We do understand your grievances with the government, so we try to run as much as possible with time, because we have very limited time for this conversation. So we can actually get a lot of responses from the questions we do have to ask. So my question to you right now is, have you received the CNG buses from the federal government? Has Labour received the CNG buses that were promised you by the federal government? Have you received them? And secondly, what if, I'm coming, just hold on. And secondly, what if the government does not listen to you in reversing the fuel price? What next?
Thank you very much. As for the issue of CNG, it's very clear. Even our Congress president have pronounced it on several media platforms that the so-called 46 CNG buses that was released are mere, I won't use the word that is derogatory. It's like a carcass. So it is not even practicable. I don't know the rationale for the implementation, how they are going to deploy it in the 36 states.
Have you received them?
It's abysmally low and inadequate. That is one. Two, as for if government refuse to back down or reverse the current pump price, then the leadership will take a decision. Our here in Lagos is to follow the directive of national. The national leadership knows better and how and manner they are going to come up with their decision. And the decision, once it's taken, it will cascade down. And that is where we will, at the subnational level, we do a total implementation. Whatever the decision, that is our own role in this struggle. We are not to decide for the government, decide for our leader. Our leader will decide, communicate the decision, and we are here to implement fully. If it is strike, if it is down tooling, if it's any measure, if it is protest, we are fully ready to implement the directive of national body of NLC at any time.
I don't know if you can give us updates, on what the current state of the charge against Joe Ajaero is. Is he, of course, is the NLC bothered by it, and does this threaten the strength of the labor union?
Not at all. Whatever charges, all those frivolous and top-up charges against the Congress president cannot hold water. And the workers of Nigeria are standing solidly behind the Congress president any day, any time. He's a man of proven integrity. He has no any baggage. He has no any skeleton in his cupboard, as we understand. And if the security have any adverse information as against his dealing or whatever, they should do the needful and follow due process. Yeah. But as for us, we are solidly behind our Congress president.
Yeah.
And
are you also aware
with him at any time?
Are you also aware, that when you say that the government should reverse to its previous petrol prices, it means that you're asking the government to go back to paying subsidy?
No, what we are saying is that since government have pronounced that there is subsidy is gone forever, and before the electioneering campaign process, all the major stakeholders agreed that subsidy is a scam, is a cankerworm that would need to be eradicated. So we agree with the government, but the manner and approach of implementing the subsidy regime is what needs to be government needs to be conscious about. They need to get the feedback and the pulse of Nigerians in terms of pain. Hardship, untold hardship is inflicting on the masses, and most especially the working people. So we want the government to reason along with the yearning and aspiration of Nigerians vis-a-vis all this policy, how it's impactful both positively and negatively, so that they can come to terms and do some kind of a reversal where necessary.
A reversal of the policy or a reversal where now?
It is for the people. Yes, policy is for the people, but when it is not impacting as expected, then it needs to be reversed, and that's why the leadership of NSC are calling on the government.
So I'm playing devil's advocate here.
Review.
If you say that the government should reverse, you're simply saying government should reverse the end of subsidy payment and go back to paying subsidy. Is that it?
No, not at all. I've given you the position that it is the manner and approach of implementing the subsidy. Should be done in piecemeal. It's like you want to give back to a baby. You must go through pregnancy. Through pregnancy, you go through labor. Through labor, you have a batch child. Through batch child, you go through some.
We're saying pretty much the same thing. So you want the government to go back to paying subsidy,
the framework,
but take it in stages.
It should be in phases. That's what we are saying.
So again, the government should go back to paying subsidy, but phase it out, and remove
We
it.
are not saying government should pay. It's the responsibility of the government that have been paying subsidy before. Does Nigeria collapse? Nigeria will never collapse. If they are not paying subsidy today, nothing will happen. Whatever the impact, we will weather the storm together. That is it.
All right.
We need to be sensitive to the plight of the people. That's what we are saying. Anything like you want to give somebody an injection, you put it through a particular point and it's inflicting too much pain, you have to go to another source. That is why government policy is subject to contestation and debate, a robust one. So no policy is fixed in casting iron or a rocket science.
Thank you so much, Public Relations Officer.
Even the World Bank has advised that any further increase will inflict more pain and agony, and it will defeat the gains that are supposed to derive from the subsidy regime. So that's our position. We are not anti-government.
Thank you, Mr. Ismail Adejumo. Thank you so much for
implementing all these policies.
Thank you for talking to us.
All right.
We look forward to speak with you again. Hopefully, we would get an update on any of the meetings that you have as well. We're out of time. I'm afraid we're out of time, but we would have you join us. Possibly you'll be here live so we can discuss even further on the decisions the NLC would be taking, especially now that you'll be added to the decision-making team. So the policies would indeed be well thought out, just as you've mentioned, from the federal government. Thank you for your time.